The diamond on my left hand didn't sparkle anymore. It just sat there, a cold, hard lie weighing my finger down. For 2 years, I wore it, planning a future with Mark, a man who called me his absolute universe. We'd built a life, or so I thought. A cozy suburban house, shared custody of a neurotic golden retriever, and dreams of a vineyard wedding in the fall. Then I found the second phone. It wasn't even hidden well. It was tucked in the pocket of his golf bag, buzzing like an angry hornet. My heart didn't sink. It simply vanished, leaving a hollow, icy cavern in my chest. The messages weren't just from another woman, they were from Clara, my best friend since college. The one who'd held my hair back after too many tequila shots. The one who helped me pick out the very engagement ring that now felt like a shard of glass. The betrayal was a physical blow, a sucker punch to the soul. But the rage was a slow, steady drip of gasoline pooling inside that icy hollow. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I took pictures of everything. The texts planning their secret weekend in Napa. The selfies they'd taken in our bed. I documented it all with the cold, clinical precision of a bomb maker. Confronting them would have been too easy, too messy. Theirs was a tawdry, lust-filled affair. My response couldn't be, it had to be a work of art. It had to be permanent. So, I pretended I became the greatest actress of my life. When Mark came home, smelling of Clara's perfume, I kissed him and told him I'd made his favorite lasagna. When Clara called, her voice laced with a traitor's guilt, I gushed about how lucky I was to have a friend like her. I fed their deception, making them feel secure, untouchable, in their little bubble of lies. All the while, the gasoline kept dripping. My revenge wasn't going to be a scene. It was going to be a system collapse. I started with the finances. Mark, a brilliant but hopelessly disorganized architect, had always hated dealing with money. "You're the numbers whiz, Maya," he'd say, handing me the bills. And I was. Over our years together, I'd meticulously built our credit, managed our accounts, and secured our future. Now, I began to meticulously dismantle it. I opened new lines of credit in his name, small ones at first, then larger. I took out a second mortgage on the house, forging his signature with a steady hand. I funneled the money into an offshore account I'd set up years ago for a surprise investment I'd never gotten around to telling him about. Next was the professional sabotage. Mark was pitching the biggest project of his career, the new City Arts Center. It was his dream. I had access to all his digital files. Late at night, while he slept the untroubled sleep of the guilty, I would slip into his office. I began making tiny, imperceptible alterations to his flagship designs, a change in the load-bearing calculations by a decimal point, a substitution of specified materials for cheaper, non-compliant alternatives in the embedded notes of the CAD files. I was planting digital landmines, ensuring his masterpiece would be fundamentally, catastrophically flawed. The final piece was Clara. She ran a small, high-end interior design firm, her reputation built on a facade of taste and integrity. I knew her secret. She often used imported fabrics and wallpapers that didn't quite meet our safety codes, avoiding tariffs to maximize her profit. She'd bragged about it to me once, thinking I'd be impressed by her cunning. I anonymously tipped off Customs and Border Protection, providing a detailed inventory of her next major shipment. I even included copies of her real purchase orders, which she altered for her clients. The stage was set. All I needed was the right moment to pull the trigger. It came on our would-be wedding day. The date we'd set, October 12th, Mark and Clara, believing I was visiting my sick mother out of state, had decided to celebrate. They booked the very same private room at the Skyview Bistro where he'd proposed to me. I knew because I'd put a tracking device on his car and a voice-activated recorder in his briefcase. I dressed carefully that night. A simple, elegant black dress. I looked like I was going to a funeral. I suppose I was. I arrived at the bistro as they were on their main course, clinking glasses of champagne, their laughter floating through the crack in the door. I pushed it open. The look on their faces was worth every second of the agonizing wait. It wasn't just shock. It was a primal, gut-wrenching terror. They looked like children who'd been caught setting the house on fire. Maya, Mark stammered, jumping up his chair, screeching against the floor. What are you doing here? I couldn't let you celebrate without me, I said, my voice calm, conversational. I tossed a thick envelope onto the table between their plates. It landed in a puddle of red wine, bleeding onto the white linen. Consider this a wedding gift. Clara's face was a mask of pale horror. What is this? Open it, with trembling hands. Mark ripped it open. Inside was a curated collection of my evidence, the photos of the texts, the financial statements showing the drained accounts and massive new debts in his name, the flagged architectural plans, and the customs violation notice for Clara's business. The money is gone, I said softly. The house is in foreclosure. The Arts Center Commission. The review board will receive an email first thing Monday morning detailing the critical flaws in your design. You'll be not only fired but likely sued for professional malpractice. I turned to Clara, whose mouth was opening and closing like a fish. And you, my dearest friend, that fine from customs will bankrupt you. And I've already emailed your entire client list, informing them of your little importation practices. Your reputation is toast. Mark was hyperventilating. You bitch, you've ruined me. No, Mark, I corrected him, my voice still terrifyingly even. You did that the moment you betrayed me. I just organized the consequences. The true revenge wasn't in their tears or their pleading. It wasn't in the way they screamed at each other, the blame game starting instantly. It was in the dawning, absolute comprehension in their eyes that I had known. I had seen everything, and I had not been broken. I had been sharpened. I had taken their sordid little secret and used it as the blueprint for their utter destruction. I had loved them, and in return they had made me their enemy. They just hadn't realized I was a strategic one. I turned and walked out of the room, leaving the sounds of their crumbling world behind me. The cool night air felt clean in my lungs. I got into my car, started the engine, and drove away without a single glance in the rearview mirror. They thought love made you weak, something to be exploited, but they never considered what happens when love turns to vengeance.